Hello, it's Bana here, and in this video I wanted to give you a full overview and how to get started kind of content about Sonoff's latest iHost, which is, it's supposed to be a smart home hub, but depending on when you're checking out this video, you might already know, it is a little bit more than what they are advertising on the box. And in this video, I will definitely try to show you all the little features and tips and tricks that I can provide for a much better experience. So let's get started with the details and see what we can use this device for. So first of all, thank you for Sonoff for sending me this review unit. It was a big help to be able to see that this is not just a smart home hub, but it will be much more in the future, and hopefully you will see this by the end of this video. Basically, my plan is to give you a quick overview of the actual device, what's in the box and what we need to know about. Then we will dive into the actual hardware that we need to know what it is using and why this will be a long-term partner for your smart home project. And then we can get started and install it, play around with add-ons, maybe install a Home Assistant server, and some other useful information like where this project is actually heading and why this project might actually worth your money from the go and get started with it as soon as it is released. So without further ado, let's head over to my first photo and take a look on the device and what's in the box. So basically, other than the box, you're getting a thin client-sized smart home hub, the iHost Smart Home Hub. Also, you're getting a Ethernet cable and a USB Type-C cable to power it. There is no power adapter in the box, so you need to add that from somewhere else. It is recommended to have something up to 2 amps of output. So basically, you need to power this device similar to a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4 in terms of power delivery. But this is good to have at least the cables available. Other than that, basically, before I go any further, what you can see is just on the front, this slot is actually not a slot. This is a RGB LED row and is used to give us an indication of the status of the device, depending on what you're actually doing, if it's booting up, if it's looking for network, trying to add a Zigbee device or whatsoever. So this is basically everything that we need to know about what's in the box and what's on the front. Now on the back, it is much more interesting. We are getting a reset pin hole. There is also a reset pin inside the box. So we have the reset hole to press the button in case of need. Also, we have a micro SD card slot. This is where you put your micro SD card to be able to add add-ons as Docker images. After that, we have a USB 2.0 port. As far as I know, based on our conversations, this was originally intended for USB storage for AI detection for your camera feeds. But right now, at this very moment, this feature is turned off. Now, I guess this will be turned back on based on the roadmap, but right now that was the intention originally, but this feature is turned off. After that, we have the USB Type-C port for power delivery, and we have a 10/100 megabits Ethernet port. Based on the actual usage of this device, that is more than enough. By the way, just a small little hint, I have successfully installed Plex Media Server and it was working fine. Just another little hint of where this device can go in the future. So let's move back to the actual device and box and we can get into the more interesting details in a bit. So other than that, basically, from the top, we get 4 different buttons. Basically, we have the power button, the connection button, and security buttons, but I will just head over to the user manual. So you can see that on the top we have the most important buttons available, depending on where you're going to place this device. In my case, because this is only a review unit that I actually have, and this is the smaller in terms of hardware. We're going to talk about this in a second. This is on my desk, but I will purchase a bigger version for my actual personal use, and yeah, we will get into the hardware. But basically, depending on where you have the device in your home, these buttons can be quite useful. Now, in terms of hardware, what you need to know about this is that in this video's description there is the link for my written review with a lot of images, just to make sure. So basically, in terms of hardware, it consists of 2 different boards. So there is a main connectivity board or base board, and on top of that we have 2 micro SATA ports, sorry for my English, and that's where they have connected the Rockchip core board with the actual processing power. So as far as I can see, this is actually quite good for in terms of future and interchangeability, because maybe in 1 or 2 years time we get a board upgrade that we can switch the boards and the software can be upgraded, who knows what. But in terms of processing power, it can be changed to something else maybe in the future. But all the connectivity parts are on the main baseboard. So the chipset for the Zigbee connectivity, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, the Ethernet, everything related to connection is actually on the baseboard. And in terms of power, as far as I understand, this is a Rockchip design. So we have 2 variants depending on which hardware requirements you may have in the future. I personally will be choosing the bigger version. So we have the RV1126 and the RV1109. Now the 09 is the smaller version. It has a dual core 1.5 GHz processor, an NPU with 1.2 tops, 2 gigs of DDR4 memory, and 8 gigs of eMMC. Now the RV1126, this will be the more expensive unit. It has a double amount of processing power, so it's a quad core. It has 2 tops and 4 gigs of DDR4 memory. So basically double amount of memory, double amount of processing power, which is quite useful, especially if you already think about the mentions before with Home Assistant and Plex Media Server, and you know, it is these little interesting ones. And for the eMMC storage, it actually is the same 8 gigs of available space for software. So this is in terms of hardware and what's in the box. And knowing that, I think you can already make a decision which one will be a more appealing for the price. Now after that, my plan is to let's get into the actual test of the device. So for that, what I'm going to do is show you just a few B-rolls of how to get started and get you through the process of getting started, installing everything, and get on with all the devices connected. To get started with the device, all we need to do is plug in the USB Type-C cable that came with the device into the device, and also you need to add your own power adapter for it. After that, what will happen is that on the front there will be a bright red light effect, and as soon as the boot up is finished and ready, this effect will stop and we will have a 100% bright red solid light. After that, what you need to do is add your Ethernet cable to the mix. So plug in to the back of the device and plug it into your router, or if you have a wall socket that is going to the router, just use that. And when everything is done, it will take about 5 to 10 seconds and the light will switch to solid blue, meaning that the device is now connected to your network, and you can go to your browser, open a browser tab and type in ihost.local to get started. As I mentioned, the first thing that we need to do is just open a browser tab and type in ihost.local. Now for the first time, this is the screen that is supposed to greet us. You need to set up a time zone depending on where you live. The date is there, and you don't need to create a username. All you need to do is set up some kind of password that you will hopefully remember. And as soon as everything is done, you can click on the login button and hope for the best. Now, after the login, this will be your password, but don't worry, you can change this. First of all, you need to go to the settings option on the left-hand side, and you will see that there are a few options already available. You can change the device name. You can always use the little edit icon on the side and then make sure to save it. In language-wise, there will be multilingual support in the future. Also, you can link your eWeLink account. This is needed to make sure that the device will show up in your eWeLink account, and also that you can later on get different things sorted out with it. So right now the eWeLink application is relatively empty, but the software update can be done through that. So you will definitely need to connect it and use that to do the first initial software update. In my case, it was 1.0, so I had to do a big jump in software update. Next, we need to add a micro SD card to the back of the device so that we can get started with the add-ons. After you have added the SD card to your device, there will be a new option available as soon as you go to the Docker icon on the left, and it will be asking for you to format the SD card for the first time. So of course you can do that, click on the format button and wait for the process to finish. Now you can already see that there is a prepared Docker add-on, which is for the eWeLink smart home devices. That is something that we will definitely need to install, and that is there on a permanent basis, so you cannot simply uninstall it or remove that. Now when the formatting is finished, make sure to click on the install for the eWeLink smart home add-on, as we will definitely need this to synchronize our devices from the eWeLink account into the iHost local system. So instead of having everything in the iHost, we actually synchronize the devices from our eWeLink account to the iHost's local management. So basically iHost it's more like a middle management to manage our devices, so that we have control on the internet, and we also have control with scenes and other options locally as well. And this will be quite useful in the future. After the installation is finished, just click on the Run option, and it will ask for a few different settings. With the network, go with host, and everything else can be left alone, and just click on the Run button. When that is finished, it will give us a new option. Basically, the info and log is what you see with most of the different add-ons. But the other thing is the Web UI tab. This is where you need to use the login option at the right hand side, and it will synchronize, it will list your devices to be able to synchronize them with the hub. Now the other thing is, if you press the big plus icon on the top right, you can look for different Docker images, for example with the Homebridge. If you go with the first option on the screen, that is the recommended Homebridge Docker image for iHost, and when that is there, the process is the same. Just click on the install, and as soon as the process is finished, you will have the Homebridge add-on added. You just need to click on run and add the first details for the first time, and there you go. Add-ons are done, and we can move forward to the next feature. Let's carry on with checking out the different parts of our device, just to make sure that we have a full understanding of what else it can do. As you can already know, with add-ons, you can do many different interesting things. Right now, I've just received a notice that the Node-RED add-on is ready. So this is the one that you need to look for. I will probably make a separate few minutes tutorial on how to install that, just in case if necessary. So what I did, I went into my eWeLink account under the Web UI tab. I have logged in and synchronized some of the devices that are already compatible with iHost. Now, right now, these are the only devices that I can synchronize, but that is absolutely fine. This will change in the future, as with every single bigger devices like the NS Panel Pro had the same issue, that in the beginning they were relatively limited, and with over time they became more and more useful. So now that you clicked on the devices that you wanted to sync, let's go back to the home screen, and as you can see, we have the different options on our home screen. Now here you can use the Add Room button to create different rooms, or use the top right hand corner plus icon to add a Zigbee device, cameras, or create groups. Now we will check this in a second. With the software update 1.4, we received an update that the POW Elite series became available with a proper graphic or graph view. And instead of just clicking on the middle, I will not do that because my computer is actually connected on that circuit, and I did that before this video and it wasn't fun. So just click on the three little dots for the different settings. And as you can see, we have the option as in the eWeLink application, but on the right hand corner we have the settings option, and you can see the different information, what is available right now. We can go back, and there is this little graph icon or graphics icon, and with every single time it will download the remaining time frame from where it was updated the last time. So it can depend it can vary from time to time depending on how much data it needs to download. Now, right now it is relatively slow, as you might have seen it, but then again we have a nice graphic view, and we can even download the data if needed. So this is one option. We can check out this Zigbee device. This Zigbee SNZB01 button was added to the iHost. So this one is available there. And I have synchronized two of the S26 Wi-Fi smart plugs, and they are also available with the usual information and the button to press them. Let's move on. So if you want to add a Zigbee device, now at this very moment, you need to keep in mind that if you use this Zigbee device pairing, these devices right now will not show up in your eWeLink account. So they are something called a local device. So you can create the scenes and everything locally, but they will not show up as sub devices on your eWeLink application when you're checking out the things on your mobile phone. I have mentioned this already to the team at Sonoff. We'll see how it progresses further. I'm not too sure what is the logic behind this, because I cannot see the logic behind this, but that's a thing. So if you want to pair your Zigbee dedicated devices with the Sonoff iHost, just click on the pair and the scanning will be started, and you will see a list of devices at the bottom. Then you can change the names and whatever you wish to do. Now, if we go back to all devices, once again press the plus button, and the next option is to add a camera. Now we have three options. One is to look for a on-with compatible or feature available camera on our network. The other option is to add a RTSP camera feed to our dashboard. Also, we have, in case you have an ESP32 camera in your network, then once again this is an option to add that to your security options. And of course the last option is to create a group. You can add a group name, you can choose a room optionally, and of course you can choose the different devices that you may want to assign to that group. The next option will be the smart scenes. So here I have already created a scene, but then again at the bottom you have the add scene option, usual if then factors. Let's go to a smart scene that I have already created. If we click on the edit option, you can see that if I click on that button, it will turn on the two lights that I use in my studio, and we have an effective period option, so you can actually do the time frames properly with all the little fine-tuning for what it should do. Now the next option on our list is the security center. This is the same type that we have in the Zigbee Bridge Pro hub, in case if you're using one of them, and also with the NS Panel Pro. Just because of that, I'm not sure if I'm going to go into details too much, but then again, you can set up your different modes depending on what you want to do. Alarm volume, what should it do? Maybe it should be a custom time period, or just the alarm should just keep on going. What kind of sub-devices you can do to trigger an alarm, and so on. So these are the usual options for your security system. Now, something that we have also built into the iHost is the eWeLink cast option. In my opinion, this is extremely useful especially for beginner users, because if we just configure a smart scene, oh by the way, top right corner you can switch the view options depending on what kind of screen you might be using. I have a very old Samsung Galaxy tablet that I managed to flash with a newer Android operating system, and now it can be used for Home Assistant or to see anything in the actual browser as well, because the old browsers weren't working properly. So for the cast name, you can just do whatever you like to name it. You can assign different devices to it, and you can even check for different scenes. Now in this case, I'm not 100% sure why we don't have a scene here, because it was already added to the settings. So this is probably something that I'm missing, or maybe a software update is needed. Of course, with the settings you can add the security options as well, and optionally you can add a PIN code of your choice. And let's switch to pad. Yeah, well, this is not much, but it is perfect for testing. Now click on the save button, and as soon as that is there, we have that. Now to test it out, of course, all you have to do is just type in a new browser tab, ihost.local/cast, broadcast. And just in case if your network does not like these kind of names, then you can use your iHost's IP address /cast, and it should work as well. Now I just clicked on the link provided, and this is what we can see. You can choose the language, and this is what we have. So if you have a tablet for controlling your home screen, then this is available. I think this will be very useful for newer users, but even if you add all the different options later on, then even for let's say the non-technical oriented users, for example, your partner, your kids, this will be great for that. With Docker, we already explored this one. So basically, this is all that this device can do right now. Now, keep in mind that there is a memory and CPU matter on the bottom. This is the old one. I guess this will be removed in a software update very soon, because after 1.4, we received the top sensor information. So we have the CPU, the memory, and the CPU temperature in the top left corner. That is something brand new with the software update 1.4, and for some reason the bottom part remained there. So I cannot really say too much about that, why that was left in there, but that is a different story. Before the conclusion, I wanted to make sure that we have a quick look on the feature roadmap. So basically, we just received, just at the release date, we have the Node-RED add-on available. So there might be interesting feature updates in the very near future. What we have is that there should be a Zigbee compatibility add-on. This is definitely something I'm interested in, because I have tested some devices, and for some reason they did not want to connect if it's not a Sonoff Zigbee device. So that will be up for testing. We will get a Zigbee network topology map, which might be quite interesting, and also there is a TTS ability. Having the microphone and speaker, this will be quite an interesting development, especially if we get some kind of smart speaker kind of functionality, so that we can use our voice to get details of the device and different information from sensors and relays of their status. Now, for the Q2, there should be an NS Panel Pro add-on, which will be quite interesting. I'm curious about that. Weather forecast add-on is something that I'm not really interested, but I guess that will be for the eWeLink cast, so that when you have a dashboard on a tablet or somewhere in the home, then that will be definitely useful. Now, something that is 100% interesting is the Tasmota add-on. I definitely wish that they would not leave that for too long, and they should start that in the very near future, because then if you have flashed your different devices with Tasmota, then that could be added to the device, and there are no needs for any kind of different ways around it. After that, for Q3, there should be some cost feature upgrades. Curious what they have in mind. Support for eWeLink remote, so that the Bluetooth chip inside the device should be available to be used at least with that options, and of course the support for multi-languages. Now, that is something that I would definitely put to the beginning as well, at least for the most used languages. I speak English and Hungarian, so Hungarian is definitely a language that is not on the top of the list, but at least 2 or 3 of the main languages other than English and Chinese, so maybe Spanish, for example, would be definitely needed in terms of amount of users. And in Q3, there is a Matter compatibility or Matter update. That will be, once again, an interesting one to see what kind of features we're going to get this year. But then again, since this device is using the same Zigbee chip as most of the brand new Zigbee capable devices from Sonoff, then obviously the compatibility and Matter compatibility will be added probably to all the devices. And after that, Edge AI, machine vision, and music rhythm. I mean, music rhythm, I have no clue how that came in, but machine vision is something that I guess it was going back to the USB 2 port with the AI recognition about what is happening and whatsoever. And Edge AI, we will see what they actually have in mind, because once again, we have all the hardware built in, so that if we can create a smarter home with this little home server, then that is something that most users will definitely enjoy. So, as a conclusion about what we have seen and what's on the roadmap, what I would say that I will definitely buy at least 2 pieces of the RV1126, and for the reason that I know that you can install all sorts of different interesting things with add-on. The hardware is there, so even in the future, if there will be some kind of other software solutions for this device, definitely worth the price. At least in hardware wise, it is, I think the price is absolutely amazing. Now, put that aside, if it's definitely worth it for you. Now, keep in mind that this is not a device that you can use as a central hub currently for all your different devices. I have already asked about the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capability, and currently these cannot be used to add Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capable devices to your actual iHost hub. Only Zigbee devices can be added. So this is something that you definitely need to know, because I know on the marketing, on paper, it says Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee. But in reality, currently you can only use the Zigbee add option, and even those devices are not showing up in your eWeLink application or eWeLink account. Now this is quite interesting, because those information can be synced to our eWeLink account, so we should be able to see them, but currently they are not. I'm not saying that they will not change this in the future, because once again, this is just a software update away from being able to be used. But as a conclusion, I think that this is an amazing start. The hardware seems amazing. I took this box absolutely apart, so you can see that on my blog on randomsmartthings.com. I took it completely apart. You have the detailed information about everything, and I will definitely, I'm definitely looking forward on what is IT Sonoff is going to do with this device software-wise. The roadmap is great, but I think with enough feedback from you, the actual users, they might change the logic or attitude about some of the features that they want to that they turned off or they are not using currently. So maybe we will see a lot more sense after a few months. Keep in mind that when this video is being released is the release date of the Sonoff iHost smart home hub as well. And as far as I know, I just need to check that there will be some offers. So basically the first 200 purchases will be on an absolute limited sale, so there will be about 40% off. Basically, the $80 and $100 units, so the dual core compared to the quad core version, there will be $50 and $60. That's why I said that I'm definitely going to buy 2 of the bigger units, and then after that there will be more units, but still a limited amount of sale as an early bird sale, but that will be like 10% more expensive. So still plenty of time to make a decision. Don't rush, think about it. If you take a look on Raspberry Pi prices and how many different USB devices you need to plug in to use the same things on that, I'm not applying anything, but I'm definitely going to purchase because of that, just for fun. I mean, in the end of the day, the worst thing that you can do is just install a different software. So yeah, definitely worth it, but I wish to keep on using it as it is and see the review unit, how the features are going to progress, and keep you updated with well, over time, make newer and newer feature update videos if there is something that we need to show to you, if there is something that I think that is definitely worth your time. Hopefully this video was helpful enough. If yes, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to show me that you are interested more in more smart home or any kind of technical videos in the future. So until the next video, have an awesome day and see you next time.